I actually read the book, the May's book on colors. I think it's actually a fantastic and valuable material. And what's it called? I would like to get one, and I hope that everybody else will be able to benefit from your wealth of knowledge and experience tonight, and also by reading the book. So
Thank you so
you
much, Damina. You're so kind. You're
you're
so
welcome.
kind. Yeah. So, I mean, out of the part that you read, what was the one thing that you found most interesting?
For me, I think the parts which I found most interesting, because I definitely I haven't read the entire book, but the little I've read, it I could see that the book touched heavily on the importance of psychology, the role in which color psychology plays in how how we make decisions, color decisions for creative projects, especially when it comes to brands, and how important that is to pay attention to uh, the kind of decisions we are making as regards to colors for brands, and what each and every color means to different brands and their essence. I could see how much emphasis you place on brand. You know, is that something you would like to talk about before we start the class
Oh,
proper?
interesting. Thanks for that feedback on the book. Really, really appreciated. And welcome to everyone that is joining in. So, I mean, in the slides, I'm going to touch on it actually, but yeah, a good way to it's really a good way to start. So, generally, when I work at Fort Canvas, a brand design agency in Lagos, and when we want to get on any brand project generally, especially if it's like full range brand projects, one of the first things that we define is like the brand core essence, or just essence, right? So we do that via strategy. So it's more like, I think the simplest way to put it to you is, think about what a brand is, or who we start to excavate the brand to be. So it's more like excavation, discovery. It's not exactly like we're creating something out there out of the blues, just to sound nice. It's not really about how high sounding it is. It's just basically what is it that makes these guys tick, right? Why do they do what they do? And that is supposed to be like the background to whatever decision we make from then on. So from defining all the statements to the visual identity to even strategy for marketing, or whatever we want to eventually do, product design or the website
All right,
and all of
all
that. So
right.
yeah,
Don't give us all the juice yet. Don't
I
let
mean,
all the juice out yet. So
okay, okay,
it
sure,
is
sure.
it is exactly 8 p.m. and I feel like we are good to go. And so I welcome you all to this class. My name is Damilola, but you can call me that fresh. And you are welcome to Design Chats. It is a bi-weekly, okay, not really bi-weekly anymore, but it's a webinar that happens in the Design Beyond Art community. Design Beyond Art is a community of designers helping designers grow. We teach design from a problem solving perspective by preaching the idea of design beyond the surface of art. And tonight, the topic of tonight's discussion is every color is taken. And our host, Wilson, will do the further justice as to talking more about the class and our guests, and he'll be the one to pilot this whole session. And I'll just be in the background here, assimilating all of the knowledge and information that is being passed down to us by our dear Mary Afolabi. So, ladies and gentlemen, make welcome Wilson Nana.
Thank you once again. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this episodes of Design Beyond Art. Anytime this session is held, a lot of value is emitted, and I believe that today is not going to be any different. All right, so today we'll be talking about colors, and the topic is every color is taken, and we have a very special guest in our midst that will be talking about this topic. And I believe that we are ready to download and get a lot of insight from this class. So, just before we get into class, I would like to, you know, read a little bio about our guest and get us acquainted with her personality. Although I'll give time to her to, to introduce herself to us, but let's be corporate here, shall we? All right. Our guest tonight is Mary Afolabi. She's popularly called May, as in MAE. Mary Afolabi is a vastly experienced designer with a deep understanding of color psychology. She is a partner at Fourth Canvas, a strategy led brand design agency in Lagos, Nigeria, where she crafts and manages brand visual systems. May is passionate about collaborating with clients to build distinctive brands via strategy inspired processes and design. She believes in the potential of art to influence people and solve problems, hence, always brings a fresh perspective to her work. For 10 years plus, wow, Mary has worked as a creative director and collaborated with on projects for brands across fintech, fashion, entertainment, real estate, courses, and everything in between across Africa and beyond. Mary is married. You hear that, y'all? She's off the market. Is married to Damilare and mom to Oluwatoni and Simi Lolua. So, ladies and gentlemen, can I get some fire emojis in the comment section as we welcome our guest for tonight? If you're happy to have such value packed individual in our midst tonight, I need you to show that, yo. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome, May. Please say hi to the community.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. It's really good to be here. Wow. I mean, you already read out the whole intro. I do not think I need to do anything further right now. That was really smooth and sleek. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Regardless, I would still love you to say something about yourself. Something, probably off the books, something you feel, you know, would interest us to know, please.
Okay, let me see. What would that be? Okay, yeah. This would interest you guys. So I studied fine arts in Obafemi Awolowo University, and I have a diploma and a BSc in arts. I actually specialized in painting, not graphic design. Interestingly, so I think that's interesting. What else would be interesting? Oh yeah, I minored also in graphic design while I was in school, but by then I knew a lot enough to be making some money off design while I was in school. So I mean, I've been doing this for so long and been teaching design too for so long actually. So yeah, that would be interesting, right? I mean,
Thank you so much for that information. So, y'all can see that she majored in fine arts and minored in painting. So it's really an interesting
Oh no,
fact.
it's more like I majored in painting, minored in graphics.
Oh, okay, okay. Thank you for
Yeah.
that correction.
No, no
Okay,
problem. No problem.
so before before you before you get into teaching, um I'd love to know. I read this bio and I was like 10 years plus. Wow, that's amazing. And there are lots of us here, both amateur and intermediate designers, and even professionals in the building. And but most importantly, for the newbies, you know, I'd like you to tell us what has kept you going in this field for 10 years plus. Could you please let us in on that?
Well, it would be passion, some passion, and a little sprinkle of let's see where this leads us to. So, at the like a few years into my journey as a designer, I got to find out about someone that I really respect, Paula Shah, and I watched a lot of videos around her craft and everything. And one statement that she made really struck me, where she said she had been designing for over 20 years. And that's, I was just wondering, how did you do that, right? Then why did you decide to stay? And what are you finding fun in it? So I'm like, you know what? Let me see how this goes. Let's see how much fun I can find in all of this, right? How much fun can I find in it? So, and it's been fun actually. So yeah, passion, and of course because it pays. If it doesn't pay, what am I doing here? So, so passion, sprinkle of let's see how it goes, and yeah, some money.
Of course, of course. I love the part where you added some money, because I mean, they don't ask you for passion in the supermarket. All right. Thank you for letting us in on that. And we are going to be discussing about this topic. Color is something that is in a core aspect of what we do as designers, as creatives, you know even as a human being. Without being a designer, we are we relate and interact with colors and react to them differently. So, you know as a designer, you are at an advantage if you understand the color psychologies, and the emotions they evoke, and how to use them effectively on which you'll be carrying out. So I would want you to, without holding back, delve into this topic and do justice to it. The floor is all yours, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Wilson. That was a beautiful welcome address, if I may say so. So I'm going to first share my screen so I can walk us through what I got ready for you guys. It's really great, right? I really can't wait for you guys to see it. So basically, what want to talk about how every color is taken, and I like how Wilson started, where you said everyone relates with color, whether you're a designer or not, right? So it's important that we know how uh, how connected it is, not just to us as designers, but how it connects to even the people that we are creating stuff for. So from our clients to the users and everyone, right? So yeah, color is very important. And someone that I respect so much said that color is emotion. Color is beyond just being physical. It affects a whole lot. So it is quite important. It's probably more important than people think it is. And here is a good example that would let you know how important it is. So have you ever tried you're dressing up for your day, you're going out, and for some reason you just feel like you should change the color of what you're wearing, either because it's not appropriate or just because you feel different from what you're wearing. So, say you're feeling vibrant and all of that, and you're wearing something that is dull and drab, you just really feel it feels out of place. Yeah. So it's that serious. And I feel like it's easy for us as designer to almost get away with a lot of things, or imagine that people should just take whatever we give them hook, line, and sinker. But there's a whole lot behind the scenes for colors. But yeah, let's focus on this title, right? Every color is taken. Indeed, every color is taken, really. When you think about it, there's this chart. I didn't find it. I couldn't find it in time to share with you guys, but it's a chart that shows like a lot of brands and how colors are used in different industries. So there's like an oversaturation of the use of blue, for instance. But people are still going to create, people are still going to have startups, have businesses, and they will still use blue. Yeah. Whether because of it being appropriate or just because they think blue is cool, let's just use blue. So, what do you do when every color you turn to has been taken as a designer? So that's really the question. So I'm going to start from a case study, a project that I worked on at Fort Canvas that I led on. Right. So this brand walked up to us or walks up to us and says, "We have a logo. We like we like our color right now. We want to be intentional about our brand and all of that." So we walked them through the whole period of the brand strategy. And then when it was time for us to work on the identity, they were like, "See, you guys, uh, just let's stick with this our color. We do not want to change it. We've designed our product and we've gone so far in it. We don't want to change it. We are fine with it." And then we're like, okay, let's see how that goes. Because again, at Fort Canvas, we think about walking through projects in terms of partnership. Yeah. So we're like, let's see how this goes. There has to be a way for us to make this work. So in the course of the project, it just became glaring that the fintech space was saturated. So again, this some of these identities have changed. A number of them have changed. But yeah, this was what it looked like because again, like I said, it's taking us back in time, right? So we saw a lot of purples, and you guys, I mean, Penny was not yet well known enough, and you're coming into a space, you're not breaking through in terms of color. There's nothing that should interest people when they see you. I mean, it wasn't a competitive advantage for them at that point, or more like they needed a competitive advantage beyond just. So they had a great name, they had solid brand strategy, we were working on the identity, but color was not yet done. And so we had to first say, we see what you mean. I understand what you mean. We get you. But look at the whole space. There is so much purple. Of course, there's so much blue also. There's so much black, right? So we have to do better than this. So how did we then go about it? We went back into that first the question of should we stay in the known or should we explore something new? And then that drew us back into the essence, the brand essence. So at heart, this brand was a playful brand. They had already named their location, their office space, the play Mogul Park or something. So they liked the idea of, and the name already said something about playing games or tokens for playing games. So the thinking was when you go to an arcade, you slot in your coin, your penny, and then you can play whatever game you have to play. And that was kind of like how they saw how they were helping small businesses too. So they were like, well, for small businesses, we want small businesses to have so much at their disposal that it just feels like they are playing games, because business in itself can be boring or is structured to sometimes be boring, but we want to make it easier for people to grow. We want to be that support system for businesses to grow. So after we went through back into the strategy, back into the essence of the brand, we're like, okay, now this is the best route for you guys. And here it was, right? So we're like, let the colors literally breathe. Yeah. So it was basically us exploring. So we were in between the burgundy and the slightly dark purple, but eventually we let burgundy fly because one, there wasn't a lot of burgundy there in the space, right? But we did not just pick that burgundy, we supported it with really bright colors because brand, yeah. And also it was a good way to elevate the spirit of the brand. Yeah. And this is what the project looks like. Some part of the project looks like logo, a four-faced logo, the deep tones, contrast is strong enough, and then on and on like that. And that's just really one story about how we've worked with color, or how I've worked with color. So, but yeah, let me draw you guys into this whole thing. So you have options to pick any combination and just mention the brand names that come to mind, food brand names that come to mind. So I'm going to come back to see what you guys are typing. Okay. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, yeah. So what food brand comes to you guys' minds? Uh you can pick either of the colors. You can pick the red and yellow. You can pick the orange and yellow. Yeah, I see you. Chicken Republic, the red, yellow, white, I guess. KFC, yeah, that would be red, black, and white. McDonald's, yeah, yeah. So basically, right, what this means is that we literally can pick out, we can go back to this, and you just kind of have an idea of how it's like overused. Of course, it doesn't necessarily mean these are the only directions that people think about for food brands, but generally the most accessible food brands would go in this direction because one, these colors psychologically help people want to eat food. Red increases your appetite. Yeah. Yellow is just a really bright color that is inviting, and it's a good support for the red. Yeah. So I mean, we have all of that. So if so a quick one, if a new chain of restaurants is about to launch and they are aware of all of this saturation of, like, the saturation of these colors, and they want to be able to contend with a chicken republic that sells cheap, not, yeah, cheap food. Actually, it's cheap food, right? What would you do? Or more like, what can be done to solve this kind of a situation? So I'm just going to give a few people. Does anyone want to say something about what they can do? I mean, you can raise your hand if you want to. And yes, I see you, Babajide. I see. Oh yeah. I mean, you already typed something, but yeah, you can go on ahead. You can unmute yourself. Oh yeah, it's more like a new chain. It's on the screen. A new chain of restaurants is about to launch. They are aware of the saturation of these colors. What do you do? What can you do to solve this?
I
Yeah.
think for me, I would go for I would first experiment with contrasting ideas, like try to look at the opposites end of that yellow and red. But I would also I'll first look at that opposite end, then try to work it towards not necessarily appetizing, but where their customers can feel at home, eat like they're eating at home. Those are kind of colors. Though it depends on the client brief if that's the direction they want to go. But
Mm,
I would start from the back. Then I know somewhere along I would either get a quarter mile way where I'm either very far from the saturation from the saturated colors but still close to where the clients hope to be. I'm not sure if you understand what I
mm.
mean from that.
Yeah, I think I do. I think I do. Right. And again, on that slide, you would see that part that I said that sometimes we run out of ideas on how to deal with things, right? Or how to fix things. And so we should always approach problems with curiosity. So curiosity would mean that, excuse me, we could go back into the brand story. So why exactly are they what exact or what kind of people are they trying to speak to? What Who are their ideal customers, and what is most appealing to them? What twist can we bring to this? If it has to be yellow, white, red, and all, what can we do slightly differently? So, I mean, in the course of all of this, we would find some interesting ideas. So I really can't wait for you guys to see them. But yeah, what I meant by curiosity on this slide would be asking questions, trying to more like probing and probing and probing. And at the beginning of this call, I think it was Damilola, I think, that asked about this essence thing and what it means, or why it's this serious, because he noticed that in my book I wrote some things about it. So essence
Sorry,
is more like, oh
sorry,
yeah,
please, can you please hold on a second? So what's called, we're just getting to know that apparently Google Meet are now monetizing their platform and they are placing limits on how much time we can go on each call.
oh that's
However,
interesting.
so what we're trying to do now is create another link because this particular call will end in 9 minutes. So we're creating another link that
Amazing.
everybody will join and we can continue the meeting there. But right now we still have up to nine
Sure.
minutes. So within that time space, another link will be ready for everybody to move
Awesome.
into. All right, thank you. You can
Awesome.
carry on.
Awesome. Awesome, thank you. So, I mean, essence would mean what makes people tick, what makes brands tick, what makes them unique. So, every brand has that. So, generally, when you ask questions, when you probe brands or you ask them questions, they will tell you, I mean, this thing for money, I want to make money, that's why I'm here. But then beyond that, there has to be a problem that they are trying to solve, or a thing that is just different about how they are solving their problem. So that always is a good way to, or is a good thing to latch on to use to define the entire system, the visual system, and all. So, and I think that is meant to even trickle into color, because color goes so deep that you shouldn't be creating a color palette that is not deeply connected to a brand. Else, something will just feel off. It's just like this thing about branding where you're not who you say you are, and then something just feels off. You say you are the better whatever, but you're not exactly better, you're worse. So there's a lack of harmony in there. So what you want to use color to do is to create harmony, so that you can feel what the brand is about by just looking at their color, right? So there's the question of the target audience. uh, what kind of decisions do you expect their target audience to be making? So if this is a fast-paced thing, maybe you want to use a lot of bright colors. So it doesn't necessarily have to be red alone. Yeah. But that's a story for another day. So cutting across, more like picking from graphic design, more like say posters and whatnot, brand design, photography, product design, digital art, illustrations. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So you can just do something nice. Just copy this link so that you can join the meeting all over again. So I'm going to just pause and allow us all join the next meeting. Okay, think we should be good to go. So yeah, hi everyone, welcome back. So on the issue of starting from essence. So if you're creating, say, a flyer, what exactly are you trying to communicate? If an event is supposed to be all vibrant, right? You should be creating a color palette that is vibrant too. If it's a cool event, maybe blues or a dark themed thing. I mean, if it's a, if it's, let's say you're designing art for music, the art should feel like the music that you're creating it for. And that's why I would generally advise that, at least as the designer of the art, you should listen to what the music sounds like, so that you're creating something that feels like it's a part of the music. It's not separated from it. And that's one way to key into essence. So always be be sincere enough to get into the essence of things. Why are we creating this? What is it supposed? What feelings are or what should people experience when they look at this? When they come in contact with whatever you are creating? So product design, whether it's the app or the physical product, you should be thinking about the experience first. You should be thinking about why it's being created in the first place, so that all of it comes together to create that uh, color palette that bangs. Yeah. Then I mean, beyond just the essence, some of these things I'm talking about are really in my book, and there's like a workbook zone, and I just really want to talk about what it feels like, or just show you just a few pages so you have an idea of what it feels like. So the whole book has some intro, and then you have this workbook zone that helps you to ask some questions. Because again, when I talked about curiosity, you like have tons and tons of questions to ask per different variety of projects that can help you make sense of what the color scheme should look like, or what the color palette can look like, right? So there are some of these questions are like visible, but yeah, the best way to experience that is to buy the book. So, but back into how you can create color palettes that are like unconventional. So again, every color is taken. Blue has been taken. Okay, please give me a few seconds. Or I'm trying to. I need to send the new link to. I need to send the new link to my husband. Please give me a few seconds. Okay, yeah. So out there in the world, there's what they call reclaiming. So I might see you. So yeah, we call that reclaiming more like, and that's what people do. People are doing in Lagos. They are reclaiming the water by using land, pouring sand and everything to reclaim land. It's not really like reclaiming, but we're claiming it, right? So that's like what we can do for color. Yeah. So blue is taken, but you can still be distinct. So there are several things that you can do. You can play with temperature. So in my book, I talk about how blue can be warm and blue can be cold. I know that generally blue is a cool color, right? But you can reclaim blue. I mean, I wish I could show you one of the pages that I broke that down, where red can actually be hot and it can be cool. Yeah. So other things that you can play around with is to work with having secondary colors that really bang. Yeah. So for instance, blue has been taken. So what can you use to support the blue that has been taken? You can pick on blue, take a different, possibly different hue, but of course you have to like do some research about that specific blue that you're picking. But it's not just that blue. You could support it with an unconventional twist. So an unconventional twist would be something like what Paystack did, where they have different varieties of blues. Yeah. Until recently that they started adding some more colors, which is necessary because of the range of things that they have to do. Right. But if you really look at their system, it's really varieties of blues, from the bright ones to the dark ones and all of that. Yeah. So that's an unconventional twist. You could decide to have, there's what we call analogous colors, more like colors that are closely related to each other. So blue is closely related to purple in a sense because there's a little bit of blue in purple. So you could pick blue, then purple, or blue, then green, and use it in a way that some other people would not try out. So you could sometimes there was a project that I led where we used the main colors were green, but we had very vibrant greens, like more like hot greens. Greens are not supposed to be hot; they are meant to be cool. But we had the blend of cool green, bright green, and it just really banged. Yeah, so you can have unconventional twists to known colors. So that's one way to create unconventional palettes. Yeah. Then aside that, you could have textures, patterns, use it in imagery. So there are some brands that would possibly just use black and white colors. I've come in contact with some brands like that. They would just want to play with that and try to own that. Some people will add textures to uh, the way they use color. For instance, there's this amazing illustrator, Adana. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. She has this texture on her illustrations. I mean, yes, everyone is using colors, but it just has that different twist to it, right? And she's owned it enough. She's used it enough to own it. So the idea is that in creating color palettes that bang, we always think that it has to be just about color. But that's the thing. you do not experience color in isolation. Even you do not experience color in isolation. So here's a good example. There are brands that make clothes, and then there is hinges. Yeah. So I love it when Hamed posts stuff. Like, it's so exciting for me when people say stuff like, it looks like it's going to be warm, and or more like be cozy, and like it's cuddling me. It looks like it, and when I wear it, it feels like that. That's because there is the way that, one, even the colors that they use for their merch and all of that, it's just it just has that cool vibe, the grays, right? So that's the thing. There's how we do not experience color in isolation. You are always judging color by the textures that it has, or that whatever has that color holds. You're judging it in the patterns that surround color, or that color is used on. You are judging it in how it looks like. So there's what they call tactile texture, there's what they call something that's just visible, right? You have a feeling that something is just going to be warm, something is going to be nice to touch, right? And so that's one of the roles that color plays, right? So you should then use that to your own advantage as a designer. The idea then is not necessarily just to focus on color, but how can you make color, how can you make it such that it's beyond just color that you're playing with. So it means that you can use these same colors that people have used, the same blue, but you just use it in a different way, and people just totally forget that it's the same blue that another business has used, right? So, like I said earlier, I talked about some questions in the workbook part of my book. So I'm just going to share a few of the questions. And one of it is this. So I talked about essence. So this is one of the questions that can like lead you to probe properly into a brand's essence, or the essence of whatever you're creating. So what about this project is unique among the others like it, and how can that affect the color system? So let's use a poster, for example. Whether it's for an event or for a church or whatever, what is unique about this poster that I'm about to make? Let's say it's for, I don't know, Burna Boy, or for a church. What's the theme of the event, and how can that affect the color? So if it's festival of this, or uh water drinking, or just kidding, but yeah, if it's a cool event, it should feel like it, right? So, but then beyond just posters, right? Photography. What is unique about this project among every other pictures that probably this personality has taken before infused into how the color feels like, right? What exactly is unique about this product that I can infuse into how the app feels like to be used, right? So in an industry of blues, you can lead your clients to explore it. But then there's the question, are they a red? So when others zig, you zag, means that you have it in you that you are unconventional. And I like it that a lot of times clients like to use all those words like, oh, we're unique, we're innovative. Sometimes those ones are buzzwords. There are some words, there are some stories that they will tell you that will make you find out whether they really are a red, and then you can explore that. So that's one of the questions. Then what's the percentage of use for each color? So generally there should be like a 60-30-10 rule, more like the main color that then the secondary color, then the supporting color or like the accent color. So generally you have that 60-30-10 rule, but you could actually tweak it beyond that. You could say 70-20-10 or something. You could tweak it to your own advantage. And it could be that, yes, you are using blue, but the blue that you're using is a 10, is an accent. You're using red that everyone has used, but the red is an accent, right? You're using whatever other color, black, but the black is like maybe 30%. What's interesting about all of this is that I'm going to show you some other case studies that you would really enjoy. So, yeah, that's that. Then, one part that I like the most in the workbook area is where you have the personality slider that talks about how the brand personality of the brand. So if the brand is more young and innovative, you like note that down, like, okay, more young and innovative, more of a friend than an authority, and all of that would then inform what the temperature would feel like, right? So there's what you call color being appropriate to a particular set of people that you're creating stuff for, right? So this is one of the ways that you can test that. So you're ensuring that you're clicking all the right buttons. You're marking the most important details, like what industry. So one so I'm working on a project, or I'm leading a project right now where I am making so much discoveries about how the drink industry is so wide, even though it looks like it's just, I mean, chibi is just drink, right? So what a carbonated soft drink would look like has to be different from what an alcoholic drink would look like. And it's not just the things, the assets or the visual elements, it's also the color, right? So all of these things have ways of influencing how you think. And again, this is just a nice part of the book. So yeah, when you see these colors, black, yellow, gray, I guess, what Niger brands come to your mind? Would be, I'm back in the chats to read you guys answers.
See rich kids saying MTN, Lipton, and all that.
Oh,
Ghetto
okay.
kids
I like
like
that.
us,
Lipton, MTN.
na
Nice.
downfall comes to mind.
Oh,
If you live in Lagos
that's
and you
actually
experience
true.
Lagos, and you see this type of color, na downfall you go first think of. But yeah, what's it called? I mean, the teaching has really
Yeah.
been lovely. What's it called? When you were talking about
Thank
some
you.
of the colors earlier, you know, I remember
Yeah.
Omale. What's it called? If we have any Omale
Okay.
fan or listener of someone people who consume his music, if you pay attention, he actually has a kind of distinct color that he uses as his brand identity, and that color is purple. And if you look at it, the kind of music that he makes in recent times has been quite introspective, and the the tone of purple that he uses to represent his brand is quite a muted purple also, which means that he understands,
Yeah.
the role of, color in brand identity and how it represents his his current run. Because what's it called? People in the industry has actually tagged him a depression musician lately, but I guess he's just trying to be a little bit conscious with his sound and be introspective with it. And so I just wanted to point out that purple part.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Thank you
that's
so
just
much.
it.
Thank you so much. And by the way, do you know that purple color is directly linked to, I mean, you said something about color. It's actually linked close to one of those colors that people relate to introspection,
Yeah,
spirituality,
spirituality.
and
Yes.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean that's really on point. Thanks for bringing that up, Dami. Thank you so much for bringing that up. Abba says that Omale is probably formerly a graphic designer. Probably, you never know. So yeah, and let me go to the brands I prepared for you guys. Obviously, MTN. So so look at this brand. Before now, they were yellow, one dullish yellow like that. I mean, for years I was just hoping to God that, oh my God, would these guys change this dull yellow that looks dirty and all? But this is brighter, this is better, right? And you have yellow, you have black, right? And you have white, a tiny uh, bit of, but you also have number that is using the exact same colors. But guess what number did? So, because I was really a part of, especially the definition part of the color system and all, right? So, what they did that was different was that they explored more grays here. And this is like possibilities that you can explore. These are like possibilities that you can explore. This is an example. It doesn't necessarily mean it has to be what you do. But I mean, if you duplicate, like if you copy and paste this, no one's gonna know. Especially if it's not black, yellow, and white. But I'm just saying this is a nice example for you to see, right? It's still yellow, black, white, but the difference is that the percentage of use is different. Then they eventually now went to support it with these other colors, right? Now, if you check their social media, you'd see some of these colors. You'd see them make one mistake of using lots of yellow, but they quickly found their way back to using white instead, right? But yeah, you'd see grays, more like black grays. Then you'd see black, you'd see yellow, and you see white. But the way they use the black is quite different from how MTN would use theirs. So this is more like a practical way to look at some of the examples that I give. So I talked about percentage of use. So here, let's say MTN's yellow is like 80, then they have 15% of black, then white, right? 5%, right? But here, number is heavier on black and not as heavy on yellow. So yellow is their accent colors. So instead of having black being sorry, like yellow being the opposite of black, like here or something, they now have grays to support the black, so that the yellow is just popping, it's just to pop, it's just for pops, it's just for accents, like we would say as designers, right? So yeah, this is a good way of looking at how you can rethink color, you can add textures to it, you can how you use color in patterns. Because again, we experience color not just in how it looks, like, oh, it's just black, yellow, and no, that's not how we experience. We experience color in terms of percentage of use, the environment that it's used, and how it's explored on whatever ground we put it on. So the environment also, all of these things come together to help you make sense. Like, yes, you do see it, like it's glaring that they are using the same colors in quotes, but they're not the same because of the application, right? And it takes time for you to obviously build consistency and all, but at the beginning, at least have it defined that we have more of this color. So maybe blue now is now the accent color, and then we have another color to support and whatnot. But that's a good way to explore overused colors, because every color is actually taken. If you say, oh no, I'm going to just use, in fact, what are we even talking about? There's Binance is also black, yellow, and black and yellow basically, but the yellow is different, right? You can't say, oh no, I'm never going to use colors that people have used. Like when I was in uni, no, I was out of uni, I was interviewing someone for a role, and then the guy says, oh yeah, I'm a deeply introspective person. I design from within. I take inspiration from within. I don't look outside for inspiration. And I'm like, I get your point, but within wherever you're pulling it from was affected. They are all products of influence, right? So you can't say that you pick out color from, no, there's no color that we can't like, unless I mean by the time we get to heaven there are now colors that we can't see here in our bodies, and we then start to see them. But right here every color is actually taken. You just figure out how. Who's there? Okay.
Okay, so I was just gonna say that the thing about inspiration, yeah, I think is actually something that has been deposited over time through your experiences and
Mm-hmm.
like you said, influences, the things you have come across and that you have seen, what's it called, other creative material that you have consumed over time that formed your own perspective and the way you view and interpret whatever comes to your mind. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks so much for adding that layer. And it's indeed it's indeed true. We don't pick out color from, like, you get inspired and see something, and then, or because of the way the human experience is, let's say you create a color palette and then you find out that wow, it's been taken, or someone is using exactly that. And that's why I think it's very important that you do a lot of research when you're creating color palettes, especially on projects. I mean, depending on what kind of project, but you should do some research, right? But when you do find out that the color is taken, you have to find your own way to either use that same color or rethink how it's explored, reclaim or something, do associations. I should just mention this. So when you're making a decision on color, it's not necessarily like you send something to your client and they say yes every time. Sometimes they're like, no, we just want to leave it. Don't touch it. Sometimes they're like, no, we just like, we don't this consent. And this is the thing. Maybe correct. Sometimes they are wrong, and you have to help them see the truth. So have to like see if it works, it's just fine. Don't touch what's working way much more than it's doing. What if it can express who you are beyond what you are trying out right now? But at that point, it was a conversational, it was a journey. At that point, we didn't say, no, 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 no. You guys are blind, you can't see the future. No, it was a, I hear you, I get you, I understand where this is coming from. You've used this in designing your products. You're not sure you want to move, you're not sure you want to move anything around on color because you don't even, if it works, just leave it, don't touch it, right? So but we got to a point in the project and we're like, nah, no. And I had like presentation, a full-blown thing where I had slides upon slides upon slides showing why that purple was not serving them. And at that point in the presentation, honestly, I did not have an answer to the question. And that's the thing. Once you present that problem, sometimes you don't even have the answer. You just know that this is not representing who you say you are. And you walk them through how it's not, and then you say, now I'm going to have to go back to do the hard work of finding your color, but we've not found it yet. And they would agree first that, okay, that's true actually. For that case, they were like, okay, we see your point. And indeed, it was that we didn't want to touch it because why fix what is not spoiled or something? Or if it works, let's just move on. But I'm like, we're in the process, so let's explore everything that we can. So back to this, it's always beyond it's always beyond the color palette. It's always beyond just blue, yellow, orange, purple, green, and gold, or what have you. It's how color is used, how you explore different possibilities, right? It's always beyond. Sorry for that. uh, I can see one error there. But yeah, it's always beyond just the color palette and a mixing. It's also how it's experienced. Then another interesting thing that I found to work as a way of exploring creating unique uh, color palette is gradients. But there's a hack that I have to palettes that have gradients. So I would generally say you have to try to not choose middle ground gradients. Try to work with either dark toned or light toned, and less of middle tones, because middle tones create problem. Middle tones, so there's a phenomenon, right? There's a phenomenon. Not everyone sees color the way you see color. And it's funny, I remember I made a tweet some weeks ago, and I asked people what they could see, and some people could see like 10 colors, some people could see less than 10, some people could see like 15 colors, right? So because not everyone sees the same range of colors, being in the center, some people have color, like they are color blind to an extent, or they have some shades, or the way they see some shades of color. So it's now then dangerous to rely on mid-tones heavily, unless you are sure that wide range of colors, you should not play with mid range. So you should have more of contrasting values. So we call them contrasting color values. So it's either dark gradients or bright gradients, or dark gradients that has tiny speck of bright color, and that whenever you use it, it's always like there's always enough strong contrast, right? So there's how much color is used, how is the color used, how does it look like in print, how does it look like in physical touch points on signages, how does it look like in whether it's printed ephemera, on t-shirts, on totes, what does it look like? So when you're switching colors with lots that goes into all of that too. So what you can see in digital when you print it out sometimes looks different because of the conversions. So it has to be beyond just, oh my god, this, and ensure that everything connects from one point to the other. So a good example excuse me, is Glow uses green, Etisalat to sorry, Nine Mobile uses some green too, but theirs is heavily black and green, right? But let me even point out a more interesting part of whatever I want to say, right? So whenever you see MTN umbrella, or let's just even use Glow umbrellas, it's the same color, it's the same tone. It feels like There's no difference between what you see on screen and what you see in life, in real life, right? That's a lot of work. It's not just done to make that happen. Serious hard work. I remember in a branding project where uh, we were trying to make a final decision on a brand color, and that took so long because they had to go to the markets to ensure that there was that particular tone for materials. But again, for a small brand, you may just say, okay, you know what, let's just have one color for physical products and then another one for digital. But that in itself might be problematic. But that's just to say that it's not just about, oh, I'm designing, it works now. It's you ensuring that it connects from physical to digital, and it feels seamless, right? So do we have any questions? uh Thank you so much for listening. I hope you've learned something, and I hope you are less scared of colors right now. Oh yeah, we already have someone raising up their hand. Thank you. I see the claps.
Thank you, May. Thank you, May, for such an amazing session. Please, if you have questions, please you can either put up your hand or type it out in the comment section, and I will read it out. We don't have much time again, so we'll be swift about it. So, but then, I mean, on a sort of recap, you know, she's mentioned a lot of things on the use on the use of color, and the last part, which is what stood out for me, is that when you are using colors, you must make sure that it is seamless, that the connection is seamless between digital products, digital designs, and of course physical materials and branding. That is one way that you can say that your branding is successful when it cuts across both digital and physical you know uh, products and elements. So thank you. And of course, her book, May's book on colors, is going on a discount, on a 25% discount for you guys that are in here. So if you're here in this class, you automatically gained 25% discount on the book. So you can reach out to the admins to gather more information on the purchase. So guys, um I'll be asking uh I'll be asking
Yeah, sorry. Can I quickly say something?
sure.
So yeah, so you can scan this code or scan this, and it will take you directly to the website, to like the store where you can purchase. And when you want to purchase, there's a space for discount code. Just type capital D, capital B, and capital A, like Design Beyond Art. So it's basically for you guys that came around. Um, it's customized for you, so you can go ahead. And then of course I can also just paste the link for you to buy if you don't want to scan this, or if you feel like you don't want to be stressed. But yeah, yeah, we can ask. Yeah, you're welcome, everyone. You're welcome. Yeah,
Thank you.
but we
Please,
can.
can we celebrate our guest? Please, can we celebrate our guest? It's it's been it's been an awesome 1 hour. It's been an awesome 1 hour. I mean, please let us also celebrate Mr. Damilare. He's been awesome. He's been awesome. Thank you, sir, for showing a lot of support tonight. Okay, so Megasin, please unmute and ask your question.
Okay, thank you very much for this opportunity to learn. Thank you, May. It has been very insightful so far. So I quickly want to ask. There was a scenario you cited. I think that was like the very last thing you said to conclude, where you mentioned a practical case where you were on a project and you found it really difficult, trying to sort out the colors for both digital and print, trying to match them. So I wanted to ask if you would be generous enough to share a few um, real life practical approaches you made to try to sort that out. In case I find myself in a situation like that, where I'm working on a project for a brand and they have physical products or materials that they will have to produce. So what are the practical steps or principles or approaches I can take to be able to get the exact color codes that would work for both the printing and for the digital work? Thank you.
Okay, yeah. So here's what I can tell you. First, when it comes to, if you've paid attention to brands, right, you would see that a lot of times these guys use white, black, especially when they are not big enough, right? You find a lot of black, white, or neutral colors, and then they will put their brand color on that mesh. So if it's black t-shirt, you see like the different colors and all, or a kind of blue that they think is fitting. So generally, unless a brand is big enough, they will just stick with neutral colors and add their colors on that shirt. So they put their logo on it and it just works, right? So uh, that's a way out. On that particular project, I remember that in the end, we went with a color. It was on this project, Titan Trust Bank, and we were trying to decide what was going to be the main color, what was going to be the main brand color. So we had like four colors now, I think. And then there was the option of going with either dark, the blue or the orange. But because of the kind of brand that they are, they felt like they needed to go for the orange or to move more towards the orange. So at that point, yes, they did go to the market. So it wasn't me or us that went to the market for them. They went to find the color of the materials that will work for them. And then, like I said, generally what brands do is to just find that neutral color and just impose their own brand on it. Because every logo has to have a color versus black. So that's always the first way out. And unless you have the money, like the brand has the huge money, the next best place would be to maybe import the actual color. But yeah, the fastest way is to stay with neutrals. I'm sure I did answer that question. I hope that was clear enough for you.
Yes, thank you very much. It was. Thank you. I don't
You're
know.
welcome.
I wanted to ask one more question. I don't know. Probably others should ask first. So I give one for others. So if I can go ahead.
Okay.
Megasen, go ahead with your question.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, so the other question I was going to ask, although you did address it a little bit, I was hesitant about asking, but I still want to ask. Um, I had a client, a case where he has preferred colors, and then what he wanted me to design for the brand, like we talk about color psychology, the colors didn't match for the kind of brand that he was running. So one of the major mistakes or challenges I've always encountered with working with clients is that most times they just want their preferred color, which may not be consistent with what the brand should be communicating, maybe via the brief or via the marketplace, which they are trying to delve into. So I want to ask, well, what do you suggest we do in cases like that? I know you talked about where you were negotiating, with the clients, you had to go through, trying to prove to them. But there is this aspect of personality clash. Like most persons or clients have their personality. They might be cool-headed, they're all ambivert, melancholic, all thing. They could have their own personality and have things they prefer as an individual. And being that they are CEOs or heads of that agency, they might want to impose just their personal preference, that could actually negate what would suit the market. So how do we navigate things like that besides the other options you had earlier mentioned?
Okay. Thank you for that question. That question is very, very important. Thanks for asking. So, in the end, it's a question of conversation. It all boils down to conversation. So what you just described, I experienced it with a client some months ago. I did not imagine that I would have that kind of issue because I mean I've always found my way around either converting the client or uh, like the color is just perfect for you and you're just like, oh my god, this is it. But this client came with his own preconceived notion and it was like, oh okay. I just got an alert that we have like 15 minutes. So yeah, and he basically was telling us that was telling me that I like this particular color. I like this color and this color. We have to make it work because I want to right. So I'm like, I get your point. I understand you, and I kind of listened because again, that's one of the things that causes problem. When a client does not even feel heard, sometimes they become defensive. They're like, you didn't hear what I mean. You don't understand how this thing is important to my life. So you have to be like, okay, I hear you. You said this, you said this, you said this, and I understand you perfectly, right? But then this brand is beyond just you. There are some people that are trying to attract. There is what color is supposed to do, or the role of color in attracting these people. And you are going to have to go back down to color psychology. For instance, for this client, like, this is you guys, but you do know that. So it was now using White House, White House colors on the website. I love it. Like, but you're not White House. And what I do is to be more beyond that color in countries. And it's like it feels really serious. So it feels like you are bringing people into not a place that they can feel like they are loved or it's warm enough for them to be welcome and they want to come again. It feels like everyone is stuck up, right? So I'm like explaining, this is where you brought this color from. This is what you want your brand to do. There is a disparity in there. We have to solve that first. So we will create, I hear you about blue. We will create a blue that is just perfect for you, which we did. Then it's like, I want red, I want red. I'm like, red and blue will not do the work that you want it to do for your brand. So we're going to figure out a way around your red. It's not going to be real red, it's going to be some bright looking, very vibrant red and not serious red. And we shared that with him, and he was like, okay, you know what? Okay, I bend. So sometimes it's still the same blue and red, but it's not red again. It's like it's already affected. The red is not as red. The blue is at least unique for them. So yeah, that's a case study or that's an example, but it's really about learning to manage conversations. For instance, I couldn't have gone the route that I went for the penny for this guy. because he was already like stuck on it. No, it's blue, it's this. I'm like, we have to make your blue work for the people that you are trying to attract, So yeah, that's a good way of approaching that. I hope that helped clarify stuff. Yeah, diluted red.
Thank you very much. That was very, very helpful. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Pleasure is mine. And by the way, there's a part in my book that talks about negotiations and talks about how the conversation would be thrown back and forth. Actually, it really would be. Yeah.
So, guys, um, thank you for that clarity. And for the people that are still here, you're the real champs. Um, Someone is raising her hand. She wanted to answer a question that you asked during your session. So, I would like to give her the floor to do that. Mary, you're on.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Hi, Mary. Good to hear your voice.
Hi, thank you. You asked a question about the food industry and using reds and yellows and how we can move away from that.
Okay.
So, first, the the type of um, restaurants, yeah, that use reds and yellows and a little bit of brown are predominantly the fast food restaurants. And in order to move away from that, you have to first define the type of restaurant you're building a brand for, because there are different types of restaurants. We have the team restaurants, the specialty restaurants, the um, luxurious restaurants. Yeah. Can I give an example? Am I permitted to do that?
Sure, sure, sure. Yes, please. Yes.
The specialty restaurant, for example. So we have Greens. Greens is a restaurant that aims at preparing dishes for strict vegetarians. So they have engineered their menu to suit the needs of vegetarians using plant-based products. Apart from the name Greens, you would also like draw out that the colors, or rather one of the primary color is going to be green, because it basically represents nature and also represents the green leafy vegetables. Another color that might work is also the brown, which represents earth and some root vegetables, and maybe the color white. So from there, you can now start deciding on the kind of temperature you want to use, the kind of opacity, the like if you want a calm color structure or the chaotic color structure. It all depends. But the major determinant of color is to know the type of restaurant that you're building a brand for. So yes, that's the question I wanted to answer.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. I mean, partly when I was pushing that, I was going to ask if someone wanted to break through, still in that affordable zone, right? I really love that example that you shared, right? Victor always has Victor Fatomi always has this example that he shared some years back, where he was saying that if he ever wants to open a restaurant, it will be black, that I would try to use, and then probably uh, use different colors to support the black, you know. And it could be so in Yoruba, you would say it's out of the black pot that beautiful things come out of, or like in Yoruba, you say, no ikoko dudu, le funfun ti ń jáde. I tried. Yeah, so it could. So he always played with that idea and shared it one time like that. But yeah, definitely. See, there's almost no color that you can't touch. It's just first again going back to essence. Like you use that example of greens, right? it's expected that you use green. On the side, I've met clients that would say that I know that my name is green, but I don't want green. I want it to shock people that I'm using black. There are people that do stuff like that. But then again, you have to go back to reconnect it to essence. Like I said, sometime during the course of my presentation. But yeah, thank you so much for adding that answer. It was really sweet.
So,
I saw
guys,
that Abba raised his hands.
uh, we don't have anyone else who raised their hand. So, that is the last question for tonight, and we're so happy that you joined us for tonight's meeting, and everyone who is here up to this time. Thank you for tuning in today, and thank you for staying till the end. A special thanks to Damilola for putting this together, and the team, Okamaka, everyone that has, made this a success, and, most importantly, the participants, the participants for, sticking with us till the end. So thank you so much. And don't forget that the book is on sale for you if you want to have, more in-depth knowledge about colors and how they apply. And my own little take on the whole stuff is that understanding your brand archetype influences the colors that you would use for any project. Understanding your brand personality influences not necessarily the colors that are in vogue. Just like you said, every color is taken, and if we are going to be using the same kind of colors for all the kind of project, every kind of project, it means that Pepsi, for instance, wouldn't have gone with blue. They would have still stuck with red, just like Coca-Cola. But due to their brand archetype and due to how distinctive they want to stay in the market, they chose an opposite color, and they have stuck with it, ever since. So, guys, thank you for joining, and I'll hand the mic over now to Damilola. Thank you.
Wow, wow. It has really been a an heavy downpour of value tonight, and thank you very much once again, Mary, for doing this. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it, and I also want to thank everyone that showed up for this class. Um, Thank you to Esther. Esther is behind the scene, making sure that the recording of this class will be available for replay. Thank you very much, Wilson, for um, coming up to host this class. Thank you, Ama, for reaching out for us to organize this session. And yeah, so guys, please kindly go ahead and purchase the book. The link to the store will be sent into the community so that everybody can have access. DBA. That's capital D, capital B, and capital A. That is the short form of Design Beyond Art. And so that's how we're going to be signing out. So please kindly give us your socials, Mary. Kindly give us your contacts where we can easily reach you. And yeah, I think we don't have enough time left. We have like 2 minutes left. So if you can just quickly, and also I like to say a very big thank you to Mr. Afolabi. Thank you very much. Really appreciate your kindness. We don't take it for granted. Thank you very much.
Oh yeah, hi everyone. This was it great for me as well. It was great to hear how we're also thinking about colors colors, great to speak on color. I mean, I could speak about color for hours and I won't be tired. I could answer questions on colors and I won't be tired answer because I've worked so much with colors. I've learned so much also, not just the experience of working, but also learning about color, taking courses also to understand this amazing phenomenon. So yeah, my socials, I mean, you can get me on at May underscore Afolabi on Twitter, on LinkedIn. That would be Mary Afolabi. So yeah, I'll be looking forward to connecting with you guys behind the scenes. Please engage me if you have questions on color. Send me DMs, reach out. I mean, I want to color question. Just know that